there, I'm Jenn Herman with Jenn's Trends, and I am so excited to be here as part of Marketed Light. I wish we could all be in the UK for the live version. I'm sure we all wish we could, but hopefully this means more people tuning in from other places around the world that wouldn't normally get to attend this amazing conference and virtual event. So excited to be here with you. I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share for you. We've got so much to talk about today. All things Instagram. It's going to be a lot of information about the algorithm. Obviously, that's the topic of the presentation, but it's not just the algorithm. Algorithm in itself is really scary for a lot of people. They think it's, Instagram's way of punishing them, and that's not the case at all. The algorithm is actually a good thing, and it can be used to your advantage if you know how it works and how to use that to actually create better content that gets more reach. And that is what we're talking about today. I want you to walk away from this session able to create better content that serves your audience, but also helps you reach those conversions, whatever that looks like for you. So for those of you who are not familiar with me, I am Jenn Herman. It's Jenn with two N's. I was born in 1980 with a bazillion other Jennifers. So that was how I distinguish myself. And I'm pretty much everywhere online as Jenn Herman or Jenn's Trends. I'll have more contact information for you at the end of this presentation. I am a consultant. I work with organizations of all sizes, from small entrepreneur level all the way up to global organizations, helping them with their social media strategy, not just Instagram, but social media in general, as well as platform specific to help them be successful on Instagram. I'm also a speaker, blogger, and author known in the Instagram space. That's what I'm typically hired for when it comes to training or events. And I love to really get into the nitty-gritty of Instagram. That's my happy place, to really figure it out and dissect it all and bring you all those tips and tactics so that you can be successful as well. I've written a few books. Those are up here, and I'll have more information on those at the end of the presentation as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So we're going to be talking, obviously, Instagram strategies and all that sort of thing. But before we dive into all of that tactical stuff, I want you to understand why I love Instagram so much from a business perspective. Because a lot of people like Instagram, a lot of people see its value where everyone keeps telling them that they should be using it, but you don't understand how it is being so successful as a marketing tool for a brand, and that can make it hard if you don't see that value to create the right content to serve that purpose. So first reason why I love Instagram is because Instagram has lower level of bounce rates from traffic than any other platform. So it's virtually a 0% bounce rate from Instagram. And that's because in order for someone to click on that link, you have that one link in your bio, right? Everyone hates it. No. I love it. I think it's great. It makes us as marketers work for the traffic, but it also ensures we get the best possible traffic to that link. Because somebody has to see your content. They have to read the caption. They have to see the call to action. They have to navigate to your profile. They have to click on the link. And now that they're there, they're ready to convert. They want to read that blog post. They want to sign up for that webinar or that newsletter. They want to watch that video. They want to find out more about that product. They want to do that thing that you've asked them to do. Because they've already taken multiple steps to get there, they're high converting audiences. Now, other platforms that have all links all over the place, by all means, that's great and it's easy, but it's also a lot of link dropping. It's also a lot of fat thumbing, right? You click on it by accident. You didn't mean to click on that link and you bounce out. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and people come for the wrong reasons, and you get higher bounce rates. You get a lot of junk traffic. Instagram has virtually 0% bounce rate because when they come to your page, they stay and they navigate to the other pages and convert. Additionally, I love Instagram because, in my opinion, and probably any other social media expert would tell you that their platform is this, but I think it's the strongest community building tool for your brand. Now, again, like I said, TikTok would probably tell you that their brand is the best for community. And then Facebook groups would say they're the best for community. I really do love Instagram for that. And I'm not saying those other platforms don't do that as well. But Instagram was built that way. It was built around community and building relationships. I know so many people that have met friends, that have, met colleagues, that have, connected their kids, whatever it is, through originally meeting on Instagram. It's an incredibly powerful way to build relationships, just the way the platform's built, the way the level of engagement goes down. It all comes together really well to build those levels of community for your brand. And it's definitely something you want to take advantage of. Additionally, Instagram has some of the highest engagement rates for all social media. Now, if you think about it, and I'm going to tell you what the number is, and people are like, that's not very much, Jen. But Instagram is a high volume platform, right? Your scroll double tap. People are conditioned to interact on that platform. And that level of interaction and engagement isn't necessarily publicized. On Facebook, if you like something, it's going to be notified to your friends and family that, hey, you liked this post or you commented on this post, and it kind of gets shared out there. Instagram doesn't do that. So people are more inherently likely to actually click on and like content on Instagram compared to places like Facebook. So when it comes to Instagram average engagement rate, about 2 to 3%. Nothing crazy, right? 2 to 3% doesn't sound like that much. But when you think about the difference, if you're looking at Facebook, that's like a 0.17% average engagement, 0.17%. Twitter is a quarter of a tenth of a percent. It's like a 0.025%. So it's so minimal in terms of that level of engagement that you're getting on those platforms that when you look at 2 to 3% engagement on Facebook or on Instagram, that's exponentially higher, right? That's a really good comparison to those other platforms. And now most small businesses can actually get themselves in an engagement rate into the double digits. So there's tons of opportunity for engagement. There's tons of opportunity to connect with your audience and build those relationships. And that is why I love Instagram so much from a business perspective. So why does the Instagram algorithm matter? I made this big deal about it. We're talking about the algorithm. Like I said, it's a word that, is very polarizing for a lot of people. Why does the Instagram algorithm really matter? Well, just like on any social media platform, really, but especially on Instagram, if you don't have a strategy, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you're essentially throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And going, okay, that worked. Should we try it again? But you don't know why it worked. There's so many factors that go into it. If you understand why the platform is doing what it's doing, you can better analyze your content to figure out what's working and how to recreate it to get more of it to work more often for your brand. And that is why the Instagram algorithm matters. So if there's one thing that you remember from today, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. If you haven't noticed I talk fast, this is how we're going all through this session. Don't think I'm going to slow down. The Instagram algorithm is not the same as Facebook, okay? This is really important to distinguish. If you're taking everything you did on Facebook and just imposing that onto your Instagram strategy, you are going to fail. It is not going to serve you because although Facebook owns Instagram and we've seen the Facebookification of Instagram and the Instagramification of Facebook, they're actually very different. Algorithmically, they're very different. Audiences are different. Content is different. And if you try to take the same thing that you just did on Facebook and you try to put it on Instagram, it's not going to work. And there's a lot of reasons why, which we're going to cover most of them in this session. Don't you worry about that. But the biggest reason why is because on Instagram, it's about each and every individual user. Facebook is a popularity contest. On Facebook, if your content starts performing well, meaning it's getting likes, it's getting comments, people are engaging with it, Facebook shows it to more people. The more of those people that continue to engage with it, the more people they show it to. It's a popularity-based ranking. Instagram does not do that, okay? Instagram is about you as an individual user, meaning if you always interact with my content will rank high in your feed. If you do not like my content and do not interact with it, even though you're following me, my content will rank lower and lower in your feed, regardless of what everyone else is doing. So if you've stopped interacting with my content, but everybody else that is watching this session likes my piece of content, my content is not going to rank any higher in your feed because it's about how you interact with me, not how they interact with me. And that is the one big difference that you really have to understand between Facebook and Instagram in terms of how you craft your content. But there's more, and we're going to go through all of that now. So I mentioned the Instagram algorithm. It's kind of a trick because really, there are about 7 algorithms at least at play on Instagram at any given time. Not one. People think of the Instagram algorithm as the feed, but there's so much more at play. And we're actually going to talk about 4 of those algorithms today. We're going to talk about the Explore feed. We're going to talk about hashtag searches. We're going to talk about Instagram stories, and we're going to talk about the Instagram feed, and then following that up with how you can translate all of this into content strategies that actually work so you can create better content for you and your audience. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Explore feed. Now, the Explore feed is if you go to that magnifying glass icon in the lower toolbar and it opens up the Explore feed. It's a bunch of randomly sorted content for you, but it's not random. You have told Instagram what you want on the Explore feed. If you don't like what's on your Explore feed, you need to tell it what you want. So if you've never really gone through the Explore feed and you're not typically interacting with content there, it doesn't really know what you want. If you log in there constantly and you're always looking at certain types of content, it makes note of that. It is a smart algorithm and adapts to you. And as you condition it to the types of content you want, it will give you more of that content. So this is a screenshot of mine. It's a lot of royal family. It's a lot of celebrity news. That's pretty much what I use the Explore page for. If you opened up your Explore page and I opened up mine at the exact same time, we would see completely different content because it's catered for each of us and our individual activity and type of content that we actually interact with on that page. So how does that content get ranked and determined what ends up on that page? Well, there's a couple factors. One is going to be the popularity of that post from both followers and non-followers. When I say popularity, I'm talking about how well it performs with both followers and non-followers in terms of them seeing it and their likelihood of liking it. I'm not talking about the number of likes or that type of engagement, because things can show up on the Explore page with a couple dozen likes or a few thousand. It's not the number of likes, it's the popularity ratio, meaning if I post something on Instagram and all of my followers like it, but no non-followers like it, it's less likely to show up on the Explore page because Explore page is typically non-followers. And if no non-followers have shown any inclination to interact with my content, why would they put it on the Explore page, which is for non-followers? So you need to make sure your content is being seen by followers and non-followers in order to get exposure from those non-followers and their engagement likewise to then get you more likely to show up on the Explore page. Don't worry, I've got you covered. We'll be talking those types of strategies in just a minute. Other factors in terms of what shows up on the Explore page has to do with timing and saturation. So as you can see, I have a little bit of an obsession with the royal family. So let's just say Meghan Markle walks out her front door and now there's 3,000 photos or 3,000 accounts with that photo on Instagram. I'm not going to see all 3,000 of those in my Explore page. The Explore page has to algorithmically determine which few of those are most likely the content that I'm going to want to interact with, and it will show me that content. However, if Meghan Markle hasn't been spotted in weeks and somebody posts, some information about her, a photo about her, things like that, now there's no competition for anyone else sharing content about her. That's more likely to show up in my Explore feed because it knows that's what I want. And there's nothing out there to show me. Now there's something new. It's more likely to show up in my Explore feed. So timing and saturation is key. And you just want to be aware of both the popular times and the non-popular times and how you can use both of those to your advantage. Additionally, there's some artificial intelligence at play when we look at the Explore feed. So the artificial intelligence is scanning all of that content on Instagram for recognizable aspects. So regardless of how you've tagged it, how you've labeled it, how you've written your caption, the artificial intelligence is looking at that content to determine what is relevant to that image. So if you take a photo of the beach and you're talking about a work from everywhere lifestyle and entrepreneur life and all that, the artificial intelligence don't care about that. They see a beach. And that content is likely to show up in the feeds of people who like beaches, regardless of what the message is. And we're going to see more and more artificial intelligence play into content in the coming years on Instagram. Okay, so within the Explore page, that's where you go to search, and that's where we start doing hashtag searches. So let's talk about hashtags because hashtags are how you get those non-followers to see your content. There are other ways to get people to see your content besides hashtags. There's things like location tags. Someone could share your content to their stories and that would get new eyeballs on your content. But really, hashtags are the gold mine to being able to get non-followers to see your content. And it's getting those non-followers who interact with your content to get that ranking up to get you to show up on that explore page, as well as a chance to just get new eyeballs on your content and potential new customers. So let's talk hashtags. The hashtag algorithm sorts very much like the explore page does, except it's a much more targeted search result. So if you type in any hashtag, I'm based here in San Diego, so I pulled up hashtag San Diego. If you and I pull up that hashtag at the exact same time, you'll see there's a top and a recent tab right above the content. The top tab is algorithmically sorted based on your personal interactions and preferences, meaning if you and I open at the exact same time, we are going to see slightly different content. We may see some of the same content mixed in, but if I'm looking for things related to childhood activities to do with my daughter, I'm going to maybe see things more related to museums or kids crafts. If you're more interested in surfing and being at the beach, you're going to see more content curated for beachscapes. So even though they're both the San Diego hashtag, we're going to see slightly different content based on overall performance of that post for followers and non-followers, timing and saturation, but also having to do with our personal preference in terms of content. So again, you're not always going to see the same things as somebody else looking at that same hashtag. Now, if you go to the recent tab in that hashtag result, that's chronological, which means the most recent post uploaded is in the top left corner and it's chronological from there. So if you and I open it up at the same time, we're going to see almost identical grids because the content is chronological. It's not sorted algorithmically. Now, that being said, some things may not appear because algorithmically there's a lot of content still, and Instagram will determine which pieces to show you versus which pieces to show me. So even though we may see everything in the same chronological order, you may see a different post here, I may see a different post here. They could still be slightly different because there's still a bit of an algorithmic play going on with that content in the recent tab. But it does sort very much like the explore page does, just in that more tangible, more targeted search topic. So how do you use hashtags to actually get your content to show up and appear in the right places? Let me share with you the super secret recipe that I tell everybody. The next few slides are going to be super important if you want to get your camera out and take a photo of the screen, if you want to use your screen capture on your computer, if you want to get out your pens and pencils, whatever it is to write this stuff down or take photos of this, please do. This is the type of thing that I want you to definitely have, because if you do this repeatedly over and over and strategically with your content, this is how you're going to drive results on Instagram. So when it comes to types of hashtags, we're going to pick 4 categories of the types of hashtags we want to focus on. We're going to do a minimum of 10 hashtags per post. Minimum, okay? You can use up to 30. Hashtags are a use it or lose it mentality, meaning if you don't use the hashtag, you do not show up in search. Instagram search sucks, okay? Like, from as much as I love Instagram, their search parameter sucks. You can't just go to Instagram and search a topic. You can go to Facebook and search a topic. You can go to Pinterest and search a topic. You can go to Google and search a topic and get tons of results. That's not how Instagram works. You can't just search for kids' ideas or new books. No, you have to go and search for hashtag new books. And then that's what's going to show you anything that was hashtagged with that. Not anything in context, anything with that hashtag. So if you're not using the hashtag, you are not showing up in search, which is why go nuts and use all 30 hashtags. The more hashtags you use, the more searches you show up in. So 20 is usually my sweet spot. That's usually what I aim for, and go a little higher, maybe a little lower, depending on the content. 20 is my sweet spot, but go up to 30 as long as they're relevant and timely, and that's what these next few slides are going to share with you. So you want to use a combination of your own custom branded hashtag. I use hashtag Jenn's Trends, that's my brand, and I use hashtag Learn from Jenn because I teach people for a living. I do webinars and well, when we can travel and be in person, I do obviously on stage presentations and things as well. I write books, I teach. So you are learning from Jenn. So those are my 2 branded hashtags. You also want to use trendy or themed related hashtags, something that's going on at that exact moment. It could be seasonal themes, those types of things. You're going to use content related hashtags, what's actually in that photo or video. And you're going to use your industry related hashtags to the industry that you serve, the industry in which you work. So this example on the screen from Burrowing Owl Winery in British Columbia in Canada used a good variety. They used about 15 hashtags, and this is a great example of the different types of categories. So this photo says Happy BC Day from Burrowing Owl, and BC Day is a provincial holiday in British Columbia. So they have hashtag Beautiful BC and hashtag BC Day. Those would go under the trendy or themed. Trendy because BC Day is a holiday. It's on trend. That's what's happening at that moment. It's trending. That would also be considered a theme because it's a theme about the holiday, that sort of thing. Beautiful BC would also be considered thematic or industry related. That's actually the tourism hashtag for British Columbia. So that's related in those categories. Hashtag Burrowing Owl Wine is their branded hashtag, obviously. You have hashtag Wines of Instagram and hashtag Wine Tasting. Those are industry related. They're a winery. They offer wines. Those are their related hashtags. And then at the end, you have hashtag Hummingbird because there is literally a hummingbird in the photo. Boom. All 4 categories in one post. And of course, the other ones fall into those categories as well, but I wanted to pull those ones out. So if you can hit all 4 of those categories, virtual high five to you. Congratulations. You do want to aim for getting at least 3 of these categories into each and every post. 3 should not be hard. Custom branded, done. Industry related, done. It's the trendy or theme. Sometimes you have to be a little bit creative, and then your content related, that should be pretty easy because you're talking about what's going on in your actual content. So pretty easy to hit all of those in pretty much every single post. So let's take it one step further. Now that you have the categories and the types of hashtags you want to use, which hashtags do you actually use? So this is the super secret recipe that I tell everybody. This is the specific formula that I recommend for success on Instagram. This will get you your 20 plus hashtags without even trying. So by all means, screenshot, grab this, write your notes, whatever you need to do to document this information. You're going to pick a variety of hashtags based on their popularity of how much content is being created around those. If you go to the Explore page, the magnifying glass icon, you search for a hashtag, it will tell you how many posts are associated with that hashtag. So you're going to choose 4 to 5 popular hashtags. Those are hashtags with about 500,000, upwards of about 1 million posts associated with them. I don't recommend using most hashtags with over 1 million posts because those typically only attract spam bots. Your content is not going to last very long in those feeds because there's just so much content that people are creating content there all the time, and your content gets buried usually in a matter of, minutes into hours. It's gone. So it's not bad, but we don't want to fill our content strategy with popular ones that become irrelevant after 30 minutes, your hashtags stop performing for you. And we don't want you only having hashtags that create, attention from spam bots. We want you to attract real people looking for what it is you do. So 4 to 5 of those popular hashtags. Exception to that would be if you're somebody in the wedding industry, the fashion industry, even the food industry, photography, some of those sorts of things, which are really popular on Instagram, and people literally do go there for all those types of things. And it's hard to find, really good hashtags in the wedding industry and photography industry that have less than 1 million posts associated with them because it's just so prevalent on the platform. So those industries, you can go a little bit higher. That's totally okay. But in general, that's pretty much the cap at about 1 million. Then we're going to pick 5 to 6 moderately popular. These are going to be hashtags that when you go look at them have maybe 50,000-ish upwards to that 500,000 mark. Those are your moderately popular. Then you're going to pick 3 to 5 niche specific. These are specifically what it is you do, what problem you solve, what solution you offer, the exact industry that you are in that somebody is looking for. And you have your 1 to 3 branded hashtags. So boom, put those all together. You've got your 20 hashtags easily. But here's why this works. And it's really important that you understand why this recipe does what it does and how it puts everything together. So when you use this, you put your content up on Instagram. Your followers start engaging with your content. The immediate burst of activity that comes from those popular hashtags can get you a few extra likes, maybe a couple dozen, depending on the popularity, depending on how well it's performing, all the timing of the day, all those sorts of things can have an impact on how well those high performing or more popular hashtags do for you. But you're going to get an initial burst of activity from those popular ones. That's going to start to die off after, like I said, a relatively short period of time. But the moderately popular one, those ones keep your content active for hours into days because they're still popular. People are still looking for them, but it's not as much content. So people that come in a day or two down the road are still going to see your content in that hashtag feed. What ends up happening then is Instagram looks at your content and goes, wow, your followers are liking it. Non-followers are liking it. You got an initial reaction immediately. It stayed active across a period of time, which means it's working. You have figured it out. You're creating great content. Kudos to you. And what ends up happening is in those niche specific hashtags, those very targeted areas where you're actually, providing the solution to your customer, you will rank as a top post. So when someone goes onto that hashtag and defaults to the top page, you're the first one they see, or maybe the second or third, but you're in that top row. And if you're in that top row, that means they're going to see it. They're going to click on it. They're now reading your caption. They're navigating to your profile. They're clicking on links. They're calling you, emailing you, following you, whatever it is. That is how you drive traffic and conversions from using hashtags. And this is the proof source of this. And I've done this, I don't even know how many times. I have so many people that have used this strategy and emailed me and been like, oh my gosh, it worked. Like literally the next day, it was working. I'm like, I know. This is why I teach it. But here's an example from Out of My Blooming Mind. She is a paper flower designer. And you can see this post had 97 likes, not hundreds, not thousands, 97 likes. And she used my hashtag strategy, and here it on paper flowers, which is actually a popular one. This isn't even niche specific. That's popular with 1 million posts associated with it. She was the #1 post. That's not her screenshot. That's mine. I went in and looked because she emailed me and said, oh my gosh. And I went and looked, and there she was in the #1 top position. And within hours of posting that photo of her product, she made multiple sales to new customers because they found her here. So 100%, this works. It's not going to work perfectly on every single post, but if you do this consistently and strategically over and over, it is going to work and it's going to drive results for your business. So which hashtags should you be using? You need to think about where your audience is hanging out, where they're creating content, and where they're looking for content, not where you think you want to be found. I always use the example of car insurance because car insurance is super sexy, but let's face it, nobody's going to Instagram to look for car insurance, okay? That's what Google is for. They're going to go type in city name car insurance and figure out what car insurance is available in the city in which they live. They're not going to Instagram to look for it. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a car insurance broker on Instagram. You just have to be smart. So you're not going to use hashtag car insurance because the only people looking at hashtag car insurance are other car insurance people, okay? Ain't nobody who needs car insurance actually looking at that hashtag. Unless people go look at it, because I always use this example and they're like, maybe I should go look at car insurance. But in general, you're not going to get customers that way if you're a car insurance broker. But what people on Instagram are doing and looking at are things like hashtag dream car, hashtag my first car, hashtag new car, hashtag BMW, hashtag Maserati, hashtag Jeep, whatever it is. They're looking for content related to cars. And if someone's getting a first car or a new car or their dream car, what do you think they need? They need car insurance. So you can create content about your product, your service, the needs that you serve, but use the right hashtags to show up where your audience is hanging out so they basically come to you rather than you having to chase them down. Again, if you're in the wedding industry, photography industry, you can use wedding related hashtags. People go to Instagram to find wedding venues and wedding providers and wedding photographers and all that sort of stuff. So there's some of those industries where you can use those very specific hashtags because people will go to you on Instagram. But in general, the B2B space, you start getting, into some of those more nuanced industries, you're definitely going to want to think about this in terms of picking the right hashtags for your brand. And the ultimate question that I could retire on if I got paid every time I answered this question, where do you put your hashtags? It does not matter. It doesn't. From an algorithmic perspective, it doesn't matter. Your audience, they don't care. The only people who care are you. You care. You care what it looks like. You care if you're offending people. You care if it's ranking for you. You're the only one who cares. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter. Put them in the caption, put them in the comment. They're all going to perform the same. The only caveat to that is if you use really popular hashtags, the ones with over 1 million that I just told you not to use, but if you want to use those, leave those in the caption. Because even a 30 to 60 second delay that it takes you from when you upload to when you paste your caption or your comment with the additional hashtags, that slight delay is enough to ruin a lot of the potential engagement that you could get from that hashtag hub. So avoid putting really popular ones in the comment, leave those in the caption, but I told you not to use those. So if you're following my strategy, then it doesn't matter. In which case, caption or comment, it's entirely your preference. Do what makes you happy. If you're lazy like me, leave them in the caption. If you want to separate them out, put them in a comment. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so now we've talked Explore, we've talked hashtags. Let's move into Instagram stories really quick. We don't have a ton of time today to talk a lot about this, but we'll talk a little bit about Instagram stories, how they rank, and some things you can do to increase those rankings with your audience. So if for any reason you're not familiar with stories, those are the bubbles across the top of your home feed. You see your profile photo. If you have an active story, there's the colorful circle around your profile photo, and everyone that goes down to the right side from there are the people that you follow that have new stories. If you have never watched a story in your life, this is chronological, meaning whoever has the newest story is going to be in the number 1 position, which is the position immediately to the right of your profile photo. However, if you've ever watched a story or more, then this starts to rank algorithmically based on the preference and likelihood that you are going to watch and interact with that story. So in this case, the digital gal who's in the number 1 position, she is my best friend. She's Amanda Robinson, and she's an incredibly talented Facebook and Instagram ads expert. If you need help with Facebook or Instagram advertising, by all means, please go follow her at the digital gal, because she is a genius, not just because she's my best friend, but she's really good at Facebook advertising. So go check her out. But because she's my best friend, I literally watch every one of her stories. And she's the only person on the planet who I will watch every single one of her stories. So the moment she has a new story, she is guaranteed number 1 placement in my feed, because Instagram knows, I have told them, I have conditioned the algorithm that I will watch her content. So she's guaranteed number 1 placement. Then from there, it goes down to the likelihood that I'm going to connect and watch any of those stories. So Blogging Brood is Mike Alton. Hey Stephanie Liu is Stephanie Liu. They're my co-authors on the latest book, which is Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing. And they're also really good friends of mine. We're in a mastermind together. We have a membership group together. So they're people I watch a lot of stories for. Not all of them like Amanda's, but a lot of them. So they rank high as well. Now, if I watch their stories, they're going to clear out and move to the bottom of the banner, all the way to the right, and it's going to move up in terms of anybody's stories that I have not yet seen. But again, the moment Amanda has a new story, boom, she moves back to the number 1 placement. You're also going to see priority placement for anybody that goes live. So if you're not using Instagram Live, this is definitely a good reason to do it. So if someone was to go live, they automatically move up in the placement, typically to the number 1 placement. However, someone else going live is never going to rank or outrank the digital gal, because Instagram knows I'm always going to watch her content. So if she's up there with new content and someone's live, they're most likely going to be in that number 2 position, because it's priority placement, but Instagram knows I'm still not going to choose them over Amanda's content. Okay, so now that you understand how they rank and get in there, how do we get people to interact with your content and see your content in order to keep your content at the top of the feed and that they're more likely to see it? Well, again, it has to do with engagement. We want your audience to be participating in a positive way with your Instagram stories. Watching a whole story sequence all the way through, positive ranking. If they skip ahead to the next person's story, that's a negative ranking. It means they didn't like your content. Now, one bad ranking isn't going to ruin you, but if they're constantly skipping and ignoring your content, you start to rank negatively, and you're going to fall lower and lower down the story banner. So we want to keep them actively engaged with our content. We want to know what's working. But again, active engagement is a very good thing. So if we can get them to actively participate in our stories rather than just passively watching it, that's a very positive ranking algorithm. That takes time, attention, and some sort of intentional action with your content. So things like the poll, quiz, questions, and countdown stickers are great for that type of engagement. It's an actual participation. They click on it, they're answering a question, they're typing in an answer, they're taking a deliberate action with your content, and that's a very good ranking algorithmically. So you don't want to do this all the time, not on every single story, but consistently. If you do this and generate that engagement with your audience, it's a really good way to keep you ranking higher in their feeds and them seeing more of your content. The slider is also a good one for interaction. Anything like the donation, the stay home, the thank yous, any of those ones as well that are getting people to create content in a common theme or do something else to actively participate in something like a donation can be another great way to create that active engagement, even if it's not a direct engagement with you in terms of like the questions post or the questions or polls, but at least it's still doing some sort of active engagement. Then when you have your stories up, it's really important that you're looking at your results and your insights on them to see how they're performing. So a lot of this data is available once your story is archived, but not all of it. Instagram is slowly adding more of this to the archive insights, but not all of it. So it's best to grab this information before the story expires. So stories last 24 hours, usually about the 23-hour mark. You want to go in and grab these screen grabs so you can see how your content's performing. You'll see if you click right above interactions, there's the graph icon that's showing you the interactions. If you click on the eyeball, that's going to show you how many or who the people were that saw it, of those, in this case, 290. So when you click on the bar graph, it's going to show you all of this information. You're going to see who replied to the story or how many replies were done, profile visits, how many people navigated to your profile from there, how many people then clicked on your website after having come to the profile from that story, so you can track that information. Sticker taps, if you put stickers in there for locations, at mentions, any of those sorts of things, people are going to click on them. It's going to tell you how many clicks were generated. If you scroll down, you get the discovery option, which this is all one long screen grab. I just cut it in half to fit on the page. You'll see what they did in terms of navigation. Did they go back to watch it again? Did they jump forward? Did they jump to the next story? Did they exit? All of this information is really important to tell you how that content is performing. If you have a lot of people all of a sudden jumping ahead at post number 3, but it's a 5 or 6 part sequence, and like you went from 500 people seeing it to 100 people seeing it, why? What did you do at post number 3? Did you give them a call to action? Did you annoy them? Were you rambling? What discouraged them? You want to find out so you can eliminate those mistakes and do more of what works and generate more of that longevity through your content for the audience. Okay, so now let's go ahead and jump into the Instagram feed and all the things about the feed algorithm, and then we're going to talk content strategies for the feed really quickly as well. So the feed algorithm is based predominantly on, you guessed it, your individual interactions. It's not a popularity contest. How you interact with my content determines how my content ranks in your feed. It also has to do a little bit with the interest level in related content, meaning I post things about social media and Instagram updates. That's what I post about. If you're interested in that, showing that same interest with other types of accounts, I'm more likely to rank higher in your feed. If you're obsessed with, puppies and flowers, I'm going to have to work a little bit harder to get my content higher in your feed because my content is not puppies and flowers. So there's a relative interest level that plays a factor there as well. And the relationship with the account. This is not good news for brands, but it's worth you being aware of so you understand how it works. Facebook owns Instagram. Facebook knows everything, right? So Facebook knows who your friends and family are. So if you're connected to those same friends and family on Instagram, Instagram knows that you're your friends and family, and those people's content is more likely to rank higher in the feed because they're personal relationships with you versus a brand that you're following. So it's good to know how this content ranks and what you need to do to get yourself to rank up there and create content that aligns with maybe something more related to friends and family, that aligns with what they're looking for in terms of their content. There's also a slightly more prevalent focus on recent content, meaning if you only log on to Instagram once or twice a week and you haven't logged in for 4 days, you're more likely to see a post from yesterday than you are from 4 days ago when you last logged in. However, that post from 4 days ago is the one piece of content that you are most likely to interact with. You're going to see that post first because Instagram is always going to show you the content they think you are most likely to interact with and that you most want to see. That's why the algorithm is there. If you log in and everything is, randomly sorted and it's not anything you care about and it's not types of content that you're typically going to interact with, you're going to leave after scrolling a little bit and be like, nothing interesting, and you're going to leave. But if they're showing you the high level content that you like and that you always interact with from the people and the brands that you always interact with, you're going to stay longer, which means they can serve you more ads, which means they can get more longevity out of you for more content, and all these sorts of things that play in to why we have algorithms. They want to give you a better user experience. There is some small value on popularity. Like I said, Instagram is not a popularity contest like Facebook is. But again, depending on timing, saturation, and popularity, if something is performing really well or it's a timely situation, it may rank a little bit higher depending on those external factors, but it's a very small factor in the overall algorithm. Additionally, your activity impacts your reach. Meaning, if you post and ghost, you show up, you post something, and you leave and you don't come back for 4 days, Instagram's not going to reward you with reach. However, if you've logged on and you've, not even every day of the week, but consistently logging on some sort of frequency where you're, scrolling through the feed, maybe checking a couple direct messages, watching a few stories, if you're actively participating on the platform, you will get more reach for your brand. If you are an agency and you're managing Instagram for your customer, make sure your customer understands this, because your job is probably not to go and engage on their behalf. You need to make sure that they know that they need to be on Instagram, logged in as their account, engaging with other people and scrolling through the feed and doing things to keep the engagement or the presence up on the page, which will help you do your job by getting more reach and exposure. So just keep that in mind if you are managing other people's content. So a couple myths I want to bust when it comes to the Instagram algorithm, okay? Let's be really clear about this one first and foremost. If I could scream this from the mountaintops, if I could get a plane and do skywriting with this, I would do it. Instagram is not hiding content. Facebook? Oh, it hides stuff. That is legit. We all know Facebook hides everything, okay? Instagram does not hide anything. It is simply resorted, and if you scroll far enough back in your feed, you will see every single piece of content uploaded by every single account you follow. If you can't see everyone's content, you're following too many people. If you're following 1,000 people, that's hard to manage even if you log in every single day, and especially if those accounts are creating a lot of content. So nothing is being hidden. It's simply being resorted. It's imperative that you understand that context. Additionally, Instagram stories, Instagram feed, mutually exclusive. If someone watches every single one of your stories and interacts with every single one of your stories, it has no bearing on how your feed content will perform in their feed. If they ignore your feed content but watch every story, your feed content will continue to rank low in their feeds, regardless of how they interact with your stories, and vice versa. They are mutually exclusive. There is no attribution to response times, meaning you can reply to someone's comment on Instagram in 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, or never. It has no impact on how your content performs. Again, not like Facebook, okay? It doesn't matter. We want you to respond. That's good customer service. That's good, social etiquette, but there's no obligation to reply in a certain period of time in order to increase the performance of your content. Additionally, no impact for edits or changes. You made a typo, go in and fix it. You forgot to add something to your caption, go in and add it. Perfectly okay, not going to impact your reach. Instagram does not like mass or bulk activities. So if you go in and change, 40 posts back to back, that's bulk activity. Instagram doesn't like that. You're probably gonna get flagged and put in Instagram jail for 24 hours. But if you're just updating 1 or 2 posts, or you made a typo and you realize it 30 seconds after you posted, go fix it. It's perfectly fine. No one's going to care. You will not be punished for hashtag use. I just spent almost 15 minutes talking to you about hashtags. I would not have wasted my breath and your time to talk about it if they were going to punish you. Use 5, use 30. It doesn't matter. Use the same ones over and over again. It doesn't matter. Go nuts. Use your hashtags. Be strategic. Instagram places no preference on photos versus videos. Both of them are exactly the same algorithmically. However, if your audience prefers videos and they watch more videos, then videos are going to perform better because that's what your audience wants. So you need to know what's working and what your audience wants to be able to create the right content for your audience, photos versus videos. But algorithmically, Instagram does not give one preference over the other. And additionally, no negative impact for being a business profile. Again, Facebook, we know, is going to punish business profiles with, low reach and all these things. We get it, okay? Not on Instagram. You can be a personal account, a creator profile, or a business profile. They all get the same exposure of reach. There's no punishment in terms of algorithms or exposure. And being a business profile gives you so many perks and advantages that you should be a business profile if you're not. Okay, so why would you get reduced reach on Instagram? There's a variety of reasons. The number one reason is usually your content sucks. Sorry, I don't pull punches. If your content is not appealing to your audience, that means they're not interacting with it. They're scrolling past it. They're not interacting with it. And if they're not interacting, it ranks lower and lower in their feed to the point where that's going to happen across your audience. You're basically getting no reach because they're not scrolling far enough to see it. So you need to make sure that your content is good and that it's something your audience wants. If it is, you're going to get engagement. You're going to get reach. You'll also get reduced reach if you act like a spammer. If you're out there, liking tons of things, following a bunch of people, copying and pasting comments and doing all that sort of spam-like behavior, it's going to get you flagged. You're going to get reduced reach. If your content is flagged for spam, so people can come in and flag you and report you for spam, you will not know that you were flagged and you will not know who reported you. But there goes your reach. You're in 24-hour jail minimum. It could be longer if you're a repeat offender. If you tag lots of people in a post, you could get reported for that. So you go in and you tag 30 people in a photo because you want exposure? No, that is a bad idea. We only tag people in photos or videos in which that person or brand actually appears. If that's the case, you're fine. But if you start tagging a bunch of people for exposure, they're going to start reporting you, and Instagram jail, hello. If you try to game the system, there's so many people out there trying to use automated tools and bots and even pods and groups and all these things to try to manipulate the system to get more reach. I'm here to tell you, they don't work. They may work short term, but I can promise you they don't work long term. I don't have enough time. I could do a whole session just on those things. So don't try to game the system. Spend your time creating better content for your audience and you'll get the reach you want. It's that simple. And finally, if you post content with music, it's likely to get flagged for copyright, even if you own the rights to it. If there's music playing in the background, if it's karaoke or someone's doing a cover song, anything that's recognizable as, especially pop culture related music, anything that's of popular domain, it's going to get flagged. Instagram has really, really stringent rules for copyright, and they will shut you down. They will lock down that post. Your followers may see it, but you're never going to get any exposure into, hashtags or that sort of thing. And even if you appeal it and you win the appeal and they go, oh yeah, you're right, you have rights, you're never going to get that reach back from that post. So be very, very careful when you're adding anything to the feed that has music or that type of audio in it. All right, so now you know how all this works. Let's make the algorithm work for you. Let's go through some content strategies so you can create better quality content for your audience. First of all, less content, but better content. I live on Instagram. I teach Instagram for a living. I am there every single day. I post 1 to 2 times a month. That's it. 1 to 2 times a month. Yes, you heard me correctly. Why? Because that's when I have high quality content that my audience wants. If I start posting a bunch of fluff content, it doesn't perform well. It's not going to do what I want it to do, and it's not serving my audience. So I don't post it. I only post when I have content of high value that I know is going to perform and give my audience what they want. Now I have a smaller account that I use for my daughter. We do a lot of like home-based activities, things where we, visit around San Diego, and it's all about, me and her and mom ideas and crafts and activities. So that one, I post about 5 times a week because we're doing things every day and I have plenty of high quality content that I know is relevant to the audience, and I'm happy to share that with the audience in a way that works schedule-wise for that content. But I would never do that on my Jen's Trends account because I just don't have that much high quality content. And it's not to check the box I posted to Instagram today. We're only posting when we have quality content that is going to drive results for everybody. You don't want to make your content compete with itself. If you're posting every single day, your content is competing with itself for position. Your average audience is not logging into Instagram every single day. And if they're only logging in once or twice a week and you've posted every single day, when they log in on Saturday and they haven't logged in for 6 days, Instagram has to rank all 6 of those posts in their feed and determine which ones to show them. So they may see 1 or 2 before they leave Instagram and have stopped scrolling, because again, if they scroll far enough back, they would see them all. But they're probably not going to scroll far enough back, and they're only going to see one or two, and they're not going to see the other 4 that you wanted them to see. You're making your content compete for attention with itself. So less is better. Also, don't post mediocre content. I just mentioned that. I'm like, it has to be high quality. It has to be something that gets people to stop in the feed and pay attention to it. If it's mediocre and they scroll past it, that's a negative ranking algorithmically. We want them to slow the scroll, to stop, to swipe through a carousel, to read the caption, to do something in a positive, actionable way on that content. And to do that, your content has to stand out. It has to be something that looks good in the feed, that looks amazing, that captures their attention. And I have strategies for that coming up in just a minute. And additionally, post with a purpose. Every single post should serve your end goal. Now, if your end goal is sales, not every post is a sales post. Some of it's just engagement post, right? You're doing things just to keep engagement up. So when you have the sales post, they're likely to see it. If everything is sale, 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 they stop paying attention, you start dropping in rankings. So not everything is going to be the ultimate end goal type post, but everything serves that ultimate end goal. If it's not serving that end goal, we do not post it to Instagram. Some things to keep in mind. Dark mode is a thing. If you haven't noticed by my bright white slides, I like retina searing blindness level brightness, okay? I don't understand dark mode. I absolutely despise it. I will never use dark mode. But I know a lot of you love it. Most of my best friends love dark mode. I don't know how we're friends, but it's a thing. And your content is going to be distributed from both light mode to dark mode. So your content has to look good on both platforms. In the past, you only had to worry about beautiful images on a white background. But now when you're designing your images, take a look at how they look on both white and black backgrounds to make sure that it's still popping and really designing that capture attention mentality in both modes. Additionally, carousels give you an extra opportunity for exposure. They're the ones where you can swipe through. You'll notice if you log on to Instagram and you scroll past someone's content that was a carousel, the next time you log in, that content is resurfaced typically on the second image in the sequence. It's a second chance at exposure. It only happens twice. It doesn't happen 3-4 times. It only happens twice, but it's a chance for additional exposure. So if your first photo didn't capture their attention, the second one may. The problem is you don't know which one caught their attention and you don't know if they swiped through or which one generated attention. So we just kind of have to wing it. Don't use carousels all the time, but do use them strategically when you can to put a bit more content out there and increase the reach of that content. Shoppable posts are not punished. I can't say that they actually get more reach or engagement, but Instagram wants you to use shoppable content. So if you have the ability to use a shop or to use checkout or anything like that on Instagram, use it. It's going to help you get a better chance to connect directly with the audience for immediate conversions. But again, those posts are definitely not punished. So grab those photos or the cameras, grab your screen grab tool, whatever it is to grab an image of this screen. Here are some of my best tips for content strategies. Bold colors with muted backgrounds really capture attention in the feed. This example here on the left, you see the beautiful pops of fuchsia in the white ramekins with the white background and the gray background and everything. That really pops, it really grabs attention. It's also aesthetically pleasing and factoring in the rule of thirds. The second image from the Love Bomb Co. is a product, but it's not a product in a box on a shelf. It's with a human hand. When you can add a human component to your content, it will typically get more engagement because people connect with people and they immediately feel a sense of emotional connection to that content. And here there's a clear focal point. Even though it's a busy background, there's a lot of stuff in the background, it's not all in focus. The clear focal point is on the product, making it easy and recognizable and pulls your attention when scrolling through the feed. When doing flat lays, factor in things like white space to really draw the attention. Don't have a busy background again when you do those flat lays. For foods and things like that, use deep saturation and bold colors. It makes it look more appetizing and more appealing, more likely to get people to engage. Animals and babies. If you can use cute animals, boom, there goes your engagement. You're welcome. I always joke that the San Diego Zoo, or any zoo for that matter, has the easiest content strategy because all they have are cute animals and their engagement is crazy good because they're cute, fuzzy animals. Who doesn't want to look at those? So animals, if it can relatively or, relevantly tie into your brand, use animals. Also, the color blue is really good. It can generate additional 20 to 30% engagement when you use the color blue. So it could be a prop, it could be a piece of clothing, it could be a blue sky. Something in that context of blue will usually bring in people's attention. Raw photos also typically perform really well. While we love beautifully staged, DSLR, fully edited images and how pretty they are, Raw images are something we connect more with. That's why Instagram stories are so successful. They tend to be more raw. And sometimes mixing up some of those raw images can be some of your best performing content. And then think about things that make it Instagram-y. So for example, the image on the right from Amtrak, it's got that long linear line to a very distant focal point. You can see almost the movement in the trees. I get vertigo just looking at the image. It creates an immediate sense of being a part of that image. And anything that has those long linear lines or unique angles and perspectives that make things very Instagram-y can usually do really well in terms of performance. I also want you to write better captions, because captions are where you make conversions. Captions are how you get people to click on that link in the bio and drive those results for your brand. So descriptions should be there, okay? We're not doing the whole leave the captions vacant. No, that's not happening. They should be there. They should be descriptive, entertaining, educational, informative, or valuable. Valuable is a relative term dependent on you and your audience. It could be any of those entertaining, educational, informative type categories, but it has to be valuable. Not too short, not too long, which I know is really vague, but typically 1 to 3 short paragraphs is usually the ideal range. You have 2,200 characters. I typically max those out because I've conditioned my audience that I use Instagram as a microblog, and I create really long captions. But again, I'm only posting a couple times a month, and I'm bundling up a whole bunch of content and information into one post. So it works for me. I don't recommend it for everybody. The photo and the video should capture their attention. The caption should take the story that much further. That's where context and everything comes into play. The first sentence should be the most powerful. When you're scrolling through Instagram, you see the photo, then you see the username, and you see 2 lines of text followed by ... more. They click on ... more to read the whole caption. If they don't click on that, they did not see your caption. They did not see your call to action. They don't know what you're talking about. So how do we get them to click ... more? You want a good, bold first sentence. Think something like a great email subject header, like a blog post title, something, a bold statement or question. Use emojis, capital letters, something to draw attention that makes them want to click ... more to read more of what's going on in that caption. And then always include your call to action in the caption. Not everything should have a call to action, but obviously if you're going to have a call to action, whether it's click on the link in the bio, email us, stop by the store, any of those sorts of things, have that call to action in there. If you're not currently following the TSA, which is the people who make you take off your shoes at the airport in the US, then please follow the TSA because they're amazing. They're one of my favorite accounts in the whole wide world. I love them and what they do to create content. It's funny, it's witty, it's helpful, it's informative. It's an incredible example of an organization that pretty much nobody likes succeeding exponentially well on Instagram. And I always say if the TSA can do it, anybody can do it. Finally, when it comes to your captions, you want to make sure you're connecting authentically with your audience. Stay true to your brand of voice and personality. I am me. This is how I talk. This is how I write. This is how I sound. When you meet me in real life, this is me. I also love stilettos. I love my pencil skirts. I stay true to that brand in the type of content I create. And so this example from Hot Lip Society, she started talking about shoes. I'm like, you're talking to me. Like, I don't care how many followers she has. She was talking to me when I read that because she was talking in a way that spoke directly to me emotionally. General Electric has this example with a wind turbine, which is a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment, and they tie it back in the caption talking about things, how this started with styrofoam balls and a toothpick. I've got a toddler who plays with styrofoam balls and toothpicks, and I'm like, well, now I can relate. So they take something that is super complex and they make it super relatable to their audience. This example from Beats and Charity took a very emotional situation. It's a cancer charity in New Zealand for children, but everything they do is upbeat and happy. They talk about all the positives. They give you goosebumps when you read their captions. It's definitely an emotional connection, but they focus on the positivity, not the negativity, because no one wants to be on Instagram for negative content. They want to see all the good that's happening in the world. And to close this all out, when it comes to creating your content, you need to create more of what your audience wants. So I was working with a bunch of women in the makeup industry, and so we went and looked at hashtag makeup over 40 and looked at all the top performing content. And you'll notice that in that hashtag, everyone in that photo or in those photos is over the age of 40, because at 40 years old, I'm not taking makeup advice from someone who's 22 and never had a wrinkle. So if you're in that industry and that's who you're targeting, you want to make sure that you're creating content that aligns with that. And there's a lot of before and after images in those tops. So maybe you should do that. Looking at those top hashtags or hashtags related to your industry will help you see what other people are doing, what's performing well, and how you can use that for inspiration. Additionally, you can go into your own insights. Instagram has just recently rolled out some new insights, so things have moved around a little bit. But if you go to insights and you go to your posts or content area, you can get to this page where it shows all of your content over the last up to 2 years. And you can search, in this case, I searched for reach. You can search for any type of material or criteria related to engagement, reach, website clicks, follows, all those sorts of things, and see how your content is performing. See what your top performing content looks like and do more of that. You may notice it's when you use a certain color, when your product is there or not there, when it's got your face in it or not. All these different things will tell you what is performing for you and your audience, which is why you always see my face, because I don't post my face and you all don't like it. So I keep giving you my face, because when I post my face, you know, oh, Jen has something to tell me, and you're more likely to engage with the content. So that is why my feed is always me. I don't want it that way, but that's what you guys keep interacting with. So that's what I keep giving you, because if you give people what they want, they'll ultimately give you what you want. Give them the content they want, give them the resources, information, tips, services, all the things that they actually need and want. And when the time comes, they will give you their money. They will buy from you. They will work with you gladly. I want to thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I know this was a long session. We covered a lot of information. I hope you found it very, very valuable. If you want to connect with me, by all means, please reach out to me anywhere around the internet. I'm pretty much either Jenn Herman or Jenn's Trends, Twitter and Instagram at JENNS_trends. I also have a YouTube channel with tons of tutorials and videos on all things Instagram. You can join my Facebook group if you go to Facebook and search Jenn's Trends and social media. That is a good, happy, wonderful group where people can ask questions, all things related to social media, but it's also where I share all breaking news related to Instagram. And I mentioned those books, the recently released Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing, as well as my 2 Instagram for Dummies books. You can find those if you go to jenstrends.com/books. Thank you again so much for everything today. I had so much fun connecting with all of you, and I hope to connect with you outside of this conference in the very near future. Bye.